And people were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, your season's over. Like, he kind of just sat me and my brothers down. He's like, look, this is something that we're going to go through, and this is really, this is going to be really hard. But I will not let this moment define who you guys become. I'm going to shoot to be Olympic champion too. So that's the goal, and I'm chasing it. I'm hungry for it, and I'm going to go get it.
What is going on, everybody? This is the Payneless Flipping podcast. I got my man here, Kyison. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, man, what a pleasure. So, everybody, the reason why I got Kyison on here is because this man, he's going to Penn State. Is that right?
That is right, yes.
Oh, man, for wrestling. And when I met him, I was like, man, this guy's a winner. And you all know that this is about real estate, but I also want to bring on winners here. I want to know what makes them a winner, what makes them that mentality work for them. So we're going to talk to him about his life and see how, his journey, how it's been and what it's going to look like. And, we can relate this to business because, in order to win a business, you got to work hard. So, Kyison, right? I don't want to say it wrong.
No, you got it.
All right, bro. So let's kind of get into your life, bro. Where should we even start, man? We want to talk about wrestling.
Right.
So let's get, because that's how we got to know each other.
Right.
So you started when you were 5?
Yeah, I was about 5 years old. Yeah. So my dad was a good high school wrestler. He was a 3-time state champion here in Utah, and then was a junior college All-American. Ended up transferring to Division I, and then ended up losing in the round of 12, blood round, to be an All-American.
Really?
Yeah. So he was up 4-0. Got thrown to his back with like 30 seconds left. Ended up losing 5-4. To be an All-American Division I, and then that guy ended up being like a 2-time All-American, placing in the next year.
Did you have those videos? Could you watch those?
I've seen that's like internet, but we have there's on VHS. Like I've seen a good handful of tapes. So
cool.
So it's been cool.
Your pops kind of taught you and got you into wrestling.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. Yeah. And so he was actually going to chiropractic school in Iowa, and I mean wrestling's huge in Iowa. So I was born there, and so I think it was just like.
It is huge up there, bro.
It kind of just was meant to be a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. So you started wrestling. You were born there, and you started there when you were in Iowa.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
Well, how long have you been here in Utah for?
So actually no. So I actually started. I first started wrestling actually in Utah.
Okay.
So we moved when I was like about 5.
Okay.
And so the first memories that I had. So actually my dad started at Brighton Wrestling Club, and that was where I started wrestling too.
Yeah,
so
young buck, dude.
Yeah, so my dad ended up was like the youth coach there because we were living in Midvale at the time, and so yeah, that was like where I first started. I guess like I was in a wrestling room for the first time.
So I got a question about that. Like, did you always like wrestling, or was there a point where you're like, dude, I'd rather freaking go hang out with the homies, or go do baseball, or have you always been all in on it?
So when I was first there, I was just a little kid who had energy, and I was just rolling around, kind of hanging out, meeting little kids, kind of just playing around. And I was like, when I started, I wasn't like very good. I wasn't like, I kind of like didn't know what I was doing, and I had like good like focus, but I wasn't like aggressive really or anything like that.
Just messing around.
Yeah, and so I liked it, but like I didn't really know what it was about, and then in like a 1-year gap, I went from like not placing at like youth state to like making the finals in like 1 year. So I just like had a pretty big jump in 1 year. Wow. And then about like I was like progressively doing good, and then about 2 years after that, I started beating a lot of the top guys like in the state, like regardless of weight class, and then we started traveling, and then from there on was like when I really fell in love with the sport. Yeah,
because it's fun to be good at something too.
Yeah, for sure.
So what do you think helped you make that leap? Because you said like within a year you started seeing like better results.
Right. I think I was able to just like focus on technique a little bit more. I think there was like a gap where I was like a little too young to where like I kind of didn't know where I was doing, but like I kind of like matured, like had a little like some mental maturity growth in that time period, and then kind of just evolved within that year. Figured it out.
And then you started traveling. Around what age did you start traveling when you were wrestling?
So the first big tournament I ever did was called VAC Duels. It was in Richmond, Virginia that year. I was probably 11 years old.
Oh wow.
And so yeah, we went and did that, and I had it was like it's like all the top kids in the country from every state basically in one building, right? One tournament, and I went like 7-3, and I had never traveled nationally. And
that
I was
your
like,
first time.
And there were, I'd beat multiple kids that like placed at nationals and whatnot, and then from there it really took off. We were traveling that next year. We traveled everywhere.
Okay. And let me think. So you started crushing it, and how much time would you say you were devoting to like wrestling every year? Like at that point, is it like a full-time thing?
So one thing my dad did really well was I never overtrained when I was young. Like up until I was probably 14, I only practiced like 2-3 days a week.
Really?
Max. Yeah, it was hour and a half practice. They were really intense for that hour and a half, but yeah, we would usually practice Tuesday and Thursday every week, and then depending on the week, maybe we'd have another one, but it was typically like 2 days a week. And so there wasn't a lot of burnout, but we were, I was competing and I was getting better, and I was using tournaments as practice, to get better.
That's sick. So folk style, Greco, freestyle, do you do it all?
Yeah, so I was mainly folk style. I started doing freestyle Greco pretty consistently about 12, 13 was like, basically that year was when we did it. Okay. But freestyle Greco wasn't taken like super seriously because I was playing baseball, and then I would play football in the fall as well. And so
you're doing all those sports?
Yeah.
Wow, busy. You're freaking busy then.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. You're a kid still, so yeah.
True.
Yeah, so it wasn't too ridiculously serious, but
I feel like you're busy, but you're right. That's your focus.
Right.
That's what you're doing. So, did you still do those sports like growing up? Or
so I played that year. I played football and baseball until I was about 13, and that was when I really started like kicking into gear. Okay. Yeah. So
when you hit that age and start kicking into gear, did you feel like you just hit another level? Like what?
Oh yeah.
Tell me about your journey, because we're right. I think right now we're at like 13 years old.
Right. Yeah. So I knew I was like I want to be a national champion, and like I had kind of chatted with my dad, and he was like, the thing that I like about wrestling for you is it's going to give you the opportunity to get your school paid for, which is really cool, because that was like what ended up happening
on with Penn State.
Correct.
So he talked to you and it actually happened.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. So it was really crazy, but I realized I kind of sat down with my dad, and there was this kind of life plan, and my dad's like, I don't care if you ever place at nationals at college at all, but if you have an opportunity to get your college paid for and set you up on a path to create future financial success, like I want you to go chase it if that's what you want to do. Yeah. And I was like I'm in on that. Oh, wow. And so that was, he
spoke it into existence.
Spoke it into existence for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you started, getting all in on this. So what was the difference? Like what changed from, when you went pretty much all in?
Right. I think it was just I got the extra time wrestling. So let's say even maybe my practice load didn't go up. It was still 2-3 days a week, but now I'm doing 2-3 days a week from beginning of September until June, right? At that time. And reps. So
more reps.
More reps. I'm not like missing tournaments or practice for baseball or football. And that decision was made one year because we went to one of the years I was playing football. We went back to those duels in Virginia, and I ended up going 6-4. So I actually did worse than I did the previous year. And it wasn't necessarily the matches were close, they were competitive, but it was like had I had that extra 2 months of training, it would be I think it'd be a big help, right? Yeah. And so no football that year, that next year. We trained for Virginia Beach. I go 9-1.
Wow.
And so now I'm like,
okay, you're seeing the results.
Yeah. And so that was like that really clicked. And so I was like, I got to just stay with this. Like there's like real potential here.
That's awesome, man. And you believe in yourself. It sounds like your pops had a big play in that. Like you getting better. That's awesome.
Yeah, 100%.
So did you see, buddy, since you've been wrestling since you were 5 and you were wrestling on a high level when you were young, did you see a bunch of guys that were really good that just kind of flamed out, that just like kind of gave up? Or
yeah.
They all kind of stick around, like from being good from 13, did they still stay consistent?
Yeah. So, yeah, we definitely saw that. And I don't know if I'm supposed to share like a name or something.
Dude, but they might watch this.
Yeah, they might. But so there was this kid. I'll tell you his name was Tristan Smith. Mm-hmm. He killed me.
Really?
Every time. Oh yeah. He used to win nationals when we were here, and
he was here in Utah.
Here in Utah, yeah, and he used to just crush me.
Just curious, what was he crushing you? Was he really good on his feet?
It didn't matter what position I was in, he was killing me. If I was on bottom, he was putting me in an arm bar, or if I was on my feet, he'd shoot this like outside fireman's carry, take me down every time. But he was like, one thing my dad always used to tell me is like, I was never allowed to cut weight as a kid. Mm-hmm. And he was always way bigger than me. Like, we'd be in a bracket and he'd be giant.
So he's just
yeah, and my dad used to tell me, he's like, if you just stay on the path, like, people are going to fade out and you're going to jump levels, right? And you're going to keep jumping levels. And we never, like, got to wrestle, like, in a tournament really after those years, but just, like, you know, credential-wise and just, like, you know, we'd compete alongside each other and I was just kind of, you know, I was climbing up. And he ended up...
good too.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, I mean, he's a great kid. We stayed friends.
Of course, yeah. Wow, okay, so you were able to see the competition and your hard work and your work ethic kind of separate yourself from the pack. So let's, is there anything else you want to kind of let us know about in your journey up into, you know, where you're at? Because I think we're just talking about like 13, now you're leveling up.
Yeah.
Tell us, what else you got?
Well, I think one of the things, my dad has always been big on like physical fitness. Like, you know, kids will like be grounded or like get their phones taken away. We did like runs and burpees and push-ups and sit-ups and dips. Oh yeah, that was our punishment. Like
if you did something bad?
Yeah, for like we had chores that weren't done. It's like we used to have this. Our punishment was like 100 burpees in 7 minutes.
100 burpees in 7 minutes.
Like that's like pretty hard, especially for like
100 burpees period.
100 burpees period's hard, but like in a 7-minute window, I mean, you're going at a pretty like
Is that possible, bro?
Oh yeah. Oh, it got up to 6.
Oh god.
Anyway, but when we were younger, that was kind of like the punishment, right? And it was like because like in hindsight, like what like you take the phone away, right? But then they like you get it back, right? But like the burpees, it was like, that was like really hard and it sucked. So one, I'm like probably not gonna do whatever I did again, but like also that's like, I mean, I'm like getting stronger. It's like growing my conditioning, right? There's like a benefit to it. You know what I'm saying?
Do you have like a really jacked brother, sister that just always got in trouble because they had to do so many burpees?
Dude, like all my brothers are pretty fit because of that. Like if you put like even just like a pretty hard workout in front of them, they're probably gonna crush it just because
they get in trouble so much, dude.
Yeah, I don't. My brother Parker's he's stubborn, and so
he's always burping.
He'll take he's willing to like for me, I'll just keep my mouth shut. He's too prideful. He's like he'll keep talking and he'll rack up those.
Wow.
He did like it was 1,600 burpees in one day one time.
1,600 burpees.
Yeah.
Bro, I don't think I've ever done 1,600 burpees in my life.
Yeah, me neither.
Dang. Okay. So
maybe life, but not a day. Yeah.
But that's amazing. So I've never even heard of that, bro. That punishment, like that's amazing.
Dude, it works.
It sounds like, I mean, from what you're saying, it works and it keeps you in shape.
Right.
Like you said, that phone, they're gonna get it back, but you know, at least with the punishment of the burpee, they're gonna be strong.
Right. And if you don't have the phone, like you can go watch TV, like. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's just little things that, like, I don't know. That punishment was like it was beneficial. You know what I mean?
I like that. Let me ask you. This is just a thought I had. So, are you a student of the game? Like, do you like watching wrestling matches and studying it, or do you mainly just like to go practice and train?
I love to watch wrestling.
You like to watch wrestling? Okay.
It's probably one of the biggest. I think it's probably when I made some of my biggest jumps was when I started to watch, and I still watch a lot. And I'm always like, I'm always constantly learning, and I think that's part of loving it, because the thing that's cool about wrestling is you never really reach your ceiling, right? And so you're always watching somebody that's better than you in specific areas. And I mean, I like watching, especially the guys that are like, you know, in college and upcoming.
Do you have a favorite, like a college wrestler?
I'm a big Jordan Burroughs fan, so I know he's past his college days, but awesome. Just like
you got bummed about Chance beating him, huh?
Yeah, dude, that hurt my heart a little bit. And like Chance has an amazing story, and he's worked so hard. And you know, kudos to him, great dude. I've actually he's a club coach, so we've run into him before. Super cool guy. Yeah. But Jordan Burroughs is just that's like my guy. Like I've chatted with him, you know, in person, and I don't really know him or anything like that. But you know, I've had conversation with him, just seen him at tournaments or whatever, and just super cool guy. I mean, he basically kickstarted American wrestling back up. 2013, Istanbul, Turkey, I believe. He was the only medal that the U.S. had, and he won. And now it's weird if we're not in contention for a team title. And he was I
remember that. I remember they even tried to kind of almost get rid of the wrestling in the Olympics. Back in the day, they were almost trying to change the rules or something.
Right.
But I feel like you're right. He not only kickstarted here, but just got people more excited in it.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Okay,
right.
So you met him. So you like Jordan Burroughs.
Big Jordan Burroughs fan.
Awesome. Okay. So anything else as we talk about where you're at right now and how you got to Penn State? Anything you want to cover until
like till high school starts about.
Yeah.
I guess just in the like the middle school scene, I started like I was like like top 3 in the country around this time. I was like there's a tournament called Tulsa National. It's like toughest middle school tournament in the country, and I was like I made like the finals there. Like it was like getting to the point where I was starting to like it was recognizable that I was starting to become one of the better guys.
Wow.
Around, which was really cool.
So what do you think separated yourself on the mat? Like I know your preparation, but did you have like a specific go-to move, or were you really good at riding? Like something that like it's like, hey, if I can get to this position, or if I can do this, like it's game.
Yeah.
Is there anything like that, or was it just all around you were?
Yeah, when I was younger, my dad always used to tell me, he's like, speed kills. Like it was just like kind of a genetic thing I always had. I was always really fast, and so a lot of what I was doing on the mat was just like a lot of fakes. I was like a big like low single ankle pick guy. I was like my re-attacks were really sharp. I think that was one thing that made the biggest difference. I wasn't like a super like good hand fighter, but I was like really good from space when I was younger.
Good. Yeah, and a lot of people like we wrestled actually, and I like to tie up, right?
Right.
You don't, and I could tell that you don't need to tie up in order to do attacks.
Right.
Which is like for me, I'm like, oh man, the guy doesn't want to tie up, now I gotta like, so that's
Gotta
awesome
close the gap, right? Right.
Cool. All right, so let's talk about high school, man. So you get into, you're doing well. Tell us about your high school experience.
Yeah, so high school was kind of a crazy time. So right before, so I guess backtrack just a tiny bit. My mom got sick with a rare autoimmune disease, and so she was sick for like 2.5 years.
Really? In high school?
So just before. So this is like 6th to like 8th grade.
Okay.
And so she's progressively getting more sick. We don't really know why. Like different doctors, getting all this figured out. We end up going to the Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, Arizona, and that was kind of the last straw. Like that's a world famous clinic, right? They kind of deal with this type of thing.
Right.
And we get there, and they think that her reason for being sick is a mental disorder, like an eating disorder, right? And there's tests that you can do for that.
Right.
We have a doctor here that's been testing her for 2+ years. Like, that's not the problem, right? And so we have this doctor who's just not listening, won't even have a conversation with her doctor back here. And so we get done and basically get sent back home. And that was kind of like where all the hope was kind of lost, right? And so we get back, and within like 2 weeks, she had passed away.
Seriously?
Yeah. So.
And they still don't. I'm sorry about that.
No.
Did they find out whatever was?
So I mean, not really. There was a thing called the Nutcracker disease, I believe, that's been pretty common in females. But it was kind of like a newer thing that they had only found out within the past like year or two. So it was kind of just after her, and we obviously still don't even know if that's what she had. And so she passed away like about a month, 3 weeks before my high school season ever started.
Seriously. So kind of tell me, if you don't mind, like how did you move forward? Were you still like, did you persevere? Obviously you persevered, but like,
right.
Yeah, tell me how things went.
Right. Yeah, it was really hard. Obviously, you lose your mom I was only 15 years old, right? It's really hard. So we have, my dad and my brothers were really close. We have really good support system, good family, great friends. And, we just kind of gathered together, and it was really hard. And, I kind of sat down with my dad, and it was like, this is what my dad told me. He's like, she passed away on a Wednesday, and he's like, look, he kind of just sat me and my brothers down. He's like, look, this is something that we're going to go through, and this is really it's going to be really hard. Yeah. But I will not allow you guys, or I will not let this moment define who you guys become. Right. And he's like, it's Wednesday right now, and he's like, take till Monday and we're getting back into life, type of thing. Yeah. And I know like people say that and they're like that, like people hear that and they're like, that's crazy, but it was the best thing I could have like ever done. Yeah. Like it was really hard.
Your mom also would want you to like.
Of course, but the worst thing I could have done was just sat around. Like that was the worst possible thing I could have done. Like I still had goals. Like life goes on. Yeah. Regardless of the unfortunate events that happen around you. You know what I mean?
Wow, man. So you at a young age had to overcome adversity.
Oh, for sure.
Man. And
for sure.
Sounds like your dad really was there as like a good support.
Oh yeah, 100%. He's the best. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. Okay.
So yeah, we got back in a wrestling room starting that Monday, and then high school season came, like 2 weeks later, and that's kind of where it all took off. So.
Okay. And was it hard to focus at that point, or were you locked in?
That was the thing that kind of saved me. Like I needed to be in a wrestling room. That was that was an outlet. And so I was really, really dialed in. Like right at that time was when I like fully just like went 0 to 100 on it. You know what I mean? Okay. Like pedal to the metal.
And your freshman year, you obviously made varsity.
Right.
And how'd that go?
Yeah. So. We're going through high school. I was a really undersized, like the lightest weight class is like 106. I know that's really small, but I was like 98 pounds, right? So luckily, like the biggest thing was just focusing on my skill set because I wasn't going to be able to rely on size, strength, anything like that. So I just really had to dial in. And so high school season was going well. I was, I hadn't lost. I was winning all these tournaments. We're like halfway into the high school season. And we're competing at Wasatch Duels up in Heber, and my uncle's there to watch me, right? And so we're getting ready to go into our like last match of the whole duel tournament, and my dad comes up to me and he's like, what do you say? He just says my name. He's like Kyison. I'm looking at him and there's like a weird look like at his face, and so my uncle's name is Steven.
Yeah.
And so he like looks at me and he's like, Steven just shot himself.
Really?
So
your uncle?
It's my uncle. He had come to watch me at the tournament that day and left and went 5 minutes away to the, Heber Valley Hospital. I don't know the name of it. Yeah. And like committed suicide right in front of the hospital.
And was that even remotely on anyone's mind that was?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
And he just was watching you?
Just was there. Literally just was there. And so not only are we like dealing with this like crazy like family thing with my mom, like we're like still like, having a hard time from that. And then we have like another event like that happen. And, all my cousins, like his kids are there watching along with my aunt, like that they're all there. And so it was just like, it was like, what is going on?
What happened? Did you guys dip out of there? Or?
I wrestled one more match. I wrestled that last match. Really good kid. Kid ended up being a 2-time state champion. Pleasant Grove kid, super tough kid. Had a good match. Beat him like 7-0. Super tough kid. And then just went and.
You beat him 7-0 and it was tough.
Yeah, well, he's a tough kid, right? And it was like the whole match thing. Like I just get told that, and now I'm like supposed to step onto a mat with the best kid that I'm gonna wrestle that whole tournament, and. And still had and still won that match like in pretty dominating fashion. So that was like, even still to this day, that was like a pretty big like personal victory.
Wow, dude, I cannot imagine hearing that news and just then having to wrestle that match and stay focused.
Right. Well, and he was a state finalist that year. Oh, wow. So I mean,
same weight class.
Yeah. So he was 6A that year. We were 5A. But yeah, he was 2-time state champion, 4-time finalist.
Sometimes it integrates like 5A.
Yeah, correct. Because it was a dual tournament.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So. Wow. Yeah. So
take me from there, man. I'm sorry. That's tough. That's almost like, what else you got? Like,
right.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I guess we just like keep rolling with the season. I'm doing good. Winning some big tournaments. Ended up by the end of the year, the weight was like 108, right? And I'm still like 98 pounds or whatever. So we wrestled state that year. I ended up being a state champion my freshman year. And so it was super cool.
Was it a surprise, or were you like, dude, I knew it was?
I set out to achieve that as a goal, and I knew I was the best guy to go win that bracket. And the kid who I wrestled in the finals, I'd actually beaten in the divisionals finals like 2 weeks prior.
Okay.
And so I mean, obviously it's like a big deal when you win, but I had like the match we wrestled divisionals was pretty competitive. I hit like a big move kind of toward, like I was winning by like 1, and then I like threw him to his back, and that's what like kind of separated it at divisionals. So it was like a close match up until that kind of exchange. But state finals had a really good match. I ended up beating him like 9-1. I had a good tournament. I had like 3 tech falls to the finals, and then beat him like 9-1. It's just like, and I was like way underweight, so it was. So
you weren't even worried about cut. That's a good thing though. It's good
right.
Not to worry about cutting the weight.
Right. So yeah, good tournament, and then good freshman year for sure.
Sophomore year also went well?
So sophomore year, I'm...
I don't want to say well, but
right.
I know that stuff happens.
So sophomore year, it's a little different, like you're like returning state champion, I guess. And but like it didn't really waver me much because I knew like I had bigger goals like outside. Like everybody says like, yeah, I want to be a 4-time state champion, but that was never really like my like goal, if that makes sense. It was the only reason I want to do that is because my dad won 3, so I wanted to win 4. Like that was the only relevance that had to me. Like my goal was to be the best in the country. And so I'm like, I don't think I had taken a loss that year. I think I was undefeated going all the way through like January, given it was like the weird COVID year. So we didn't like travel nationally. But I was beating the guys here, and we're wrestling at this tournament called the Rumble, just at UVU, big tournament. And that year was really stacked because it was one of the only tournaments that was open during COVID. So you had a bunch of guys like all from the West Coast come in. There were some East Coast guys that came down. It was really tough that year. So I was ranked 6th in the country at the time on flow wrestling. The kid I was wrestling was 5th, I believe. His name was Isaiah Quintero. He's committed to Purdue now. Really good kid. He shoots a single leg and like goes to sit me like down, and my leg snaps.
Oh no!
Boom! Sophomore year, so leg completely breaks.
What movie was he doing?
He just like was in on a single leg, and he just went to like run the pipe just to finish, and like for whatever reason, my foot didn't slide out. So like my butt sat down with my leg still in front of me, and my leg just boom.
And when you say leg, is it the knee that?
So I got a pretty gnarly scar right here and here, but it was a spiral fracture through my tibia and fibula.
Okay, so down in here.
Right, and then I also had like a 35-degree dislocation. So like my knees right here, my legs like over here, right? So
was
pretty.
It something freak? Was it a freak accident?
Freak accident, completely freak accident.
Like he did it something like.
Yeah. Just for whatever reason, my foot didn't slide. And so one thing that we were told was they like had like a shortage of mats, and they had to get like jiu-jitsu mats that were there, and then they just put circles over them. And like the jiu-jitsu mats are like a little more sticky, right? And
especially
so if you're wearing shoes, right? So for whatever reason, my foot didn't slide. And so, the whole like the tournament director and them, they were like really worried about like a big like lawsuit or something like that. We're not those people, right? You know what I mean? They had to do what they had to do. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And so. That's like crappy now because I break my leg. The first thing I say, I'm literally getting carried out. All my friends are right there, and I look at them. I'm like, now I can't beat my dad and win 4, and they're all just laughing their head off because they're expecting me to be like crying or whatever, and in the.
Did it hurt? I'm sure.
Oh yeah, it hurt. Hurt super bad. Yeah, I just brought out the dark humor right away.
Sounds like you were doing all right though. You're like, hey, I got.
Yeah. I brought out the dark humor a little bit, and everybody else was laughing at least.
Wow. Okay, so sophomore year, you weren't able to get back in time, were you?
I was actually.
Oh shoot.
So this was like the stupidest but like craziest thing I've ever done in my life. So I get out. I have So that night I get my leg reset, and they give me this stuff called ketamine, and I hallucinated on it so bad.
Okay.
Like I saw a clock and like ticking down. I saw my dad like in front of me saying my name, leaving the room, and he was to the side of me the whole time. I was like outside of my own body, looking down at myself, getting worked on. Like it was really trippy.
Do you feel like you were actually outside of your body?
I have no idea, but it was really gnarly. Sorry, that's kind of off topic a little bit. But cool. So then I'm supposed to have surgery the next morning, but I just had a weight cut for the tournament because it was like an actual big tournament, right? And that sophomore year was like the first time where I really started to cut a little bit of weight. And so they wouldn't let me do surgery for another 48 hours because they wanted me to recover after my weight cut.
Yeah, that's wild.
So now I'm just sitting at my house taking ibuprofen. My leg is completely broken. Yeah. Like it's set now, so it feels better, but it's still broken. Yeah. So I'm just waiting to go into surgery. So I go to surgery, and we're watching. I get done. We go watch I missed we dueled like Mountain View or something. I had to miss because I was like I had just like gotten out of surgery right that night. So it was like 2-3 days later. We go and watch. We duel like Alta, right? Mm-hmm. And we should like never it should never even be like a close duel. And we had like 3 guys that were out. Like not including me, like we had like a weird like sickness come through, and like we had some guys that were just like taken out by it, and then obviously my leg was broke, so I couldn't compete. But we ended up losing the duel, and that just like lit a fire in me. I was like, how?
Was this soon after your leg was broke?
Like this duel was like 3 days after, and so like this happens in January, and so I'm just like furious. I'm like, how? And they're like super like over the top, like cheering, like it was like, yeah, it was like spiteful kind of, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so like there wasn't even like a rivalry, but for whatever reason, like on that night they were just oh yeah, yeah. Anytime we wrestled outside, I was like, you better smash these guys, right?
That's right.
And so I'm just like, I'm kind of furious, and I'm like, my dad knows it, and I'm kind of telling him, I'm like this is bugging me, right? And he's like, well, do you like think you could find a way to wrestle? And I'm like, no, like no, right? And so he's like, well, like I think you could do it, and I'm like, yeah, and so I'm like, no, like there's no way. And so we start driving, and it's like we're kind of just like sitting in silence, me and my dad, because I think we're thinking the same thing right now. Yeah, and I kind of just look over at him. I'm like, I think I could do it, and he's like, I know you can. And so we like the next day we kind of just like put together a plan.
You haven't had surgery yet, have you?
No, I've had surgery.
Okay, you've had surgery.
Yes, I'm like a 2-3 days out of surgery.
Okay, sure, 3 days.
Yeah, like we're kind of just thinking of ways we could do it. He's like, well, what if you like? I'm like, I think I could like wrestle on a knee, right? And like we just wrap your leg, whatever. And so this banter is going back and forth, and it's between my dad and me, and nobody knows, obviously, but us too.
Yes.
And so we show up in the wrestling room one day, and none of my teammates even know, coaches, nothing. Okay. And so I have like this my boot, that like this big black boot, right? And so I get it, we like bubble wrap it, and then we like tape around it, right?
Oh, gosh.
And so me and my dad are like in the corner of the room, and we're just like messing around like how we could make this work. And so I'm kind of like getting a feel for it, just like moving and circling, and he's kind of like, he's just doing like stance and motion basically. I'm kind of just following him, getting the feel, and then I start like shooting like low level shots, which is what I'm good at my feet anyway, but kind of just obviously doing the same thing, but just without a leg.
Yeah, on the knee.
And so we're kind of just like messing around, but like it's like feeling like not that bad.
Yeah.
Like to where I'm like at a point where I feel like I could like defend myself. And so my dad's like, do you think you could do this? And I was like, yeah, but the one thing now I gotta like consider is I can't like cut weight, because I'm still in my, I'm not even in my boot. I'm in my hard cast right now. So I can't like lose weight, because I can't even really be like sweating, because I can't like clean this out, right?
You're trying to stay.
Right. So we like go check my weight, and I'm the weight that I was gonna wrestle was 113, and I was like 112.1, and I was like, even with the cast.
Wow.
Right? Yes. And so for whatever reason, like I wasn't like really cutting weight that year, but like I was at least 113 pounds, like at least. And so he's like, do you think you could do it? I'm like, probably, like, I don't know, And so we make the decision. I'm chatting with my coaches, and they're like, hey, if you think you can do it, like we'd love to have you, obviously. And so.
And this is for just a regular tournament, or is this for state? Or?
So divisionals is the qualifier for state.
Oh, okay.
So this is like right when I'm back.
Trying to get back into division.
I got to just get right back into it. Like I don't have time to like progressively do it. And I think that part of like that was a bad thing, because I didn't have more time to practice. But also like I wasn't just gonna wrestle a whole season with my leg broken. Like the fact that it was right around the corner was the only thing that made it like we could do it. You know what I mean? And so I'm at divisionals, and I'm sitting down in my chair. I have my crutches. And I'm kind of just chatting to everybody, and people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, like your season's over." And I was like, "Little do you know." Also, so one thing real quick. So I told you I missed that Mountain View duel. I couldn't go watch. This kid, super nice kid. His name's Gable Stoddard. Sorry, I'm like calling everybody out this video.
All good.
He writes me this like.
Share it with them all.
He gives me this like letter with it has a Cold Stone gift card in it. And it was like, he said he was like I'm really sorry, like we didn't get to like compete against each other. I was like looking forward to it. Like, I'm so sorry about your injury.
He's happy too, because he.
And I think it was like meant to be a nice gesture, but I took it as like, thank you for being injured. I'm gonna be in contention to win state now. And
that might have been it. He might have been so grateful.
I don't know. He was a nice kid, so I don't think that's what his intentions were. But that is exactly how I took it, and I was so spiteful. I was like, I'm coming back.
How much was it for? $15?
I didn't even use it.
Didn't even use it, bro. He's like, you're like, forget that.
I couldn't, dude. I could not use that gift card. I didn't even use it. Shout out Gable Starter, though. That was really nice of you. Thank you. But yeah, so I'm at divisionals now, and I'm sitting with my crutches in the chair, and everybody's, saying like, I'm so sorry you can't compete, yada, yada, yada. And I'm kind of just thinking, like, little do they know, like, they have no idea. So they call my weight class to go weigh in. I take all my stuff off. I get in my singlet, and I'm crutching over, and I hear everybody like gasp, like what is going on, right? Like it's silent, and it's so apparent that every eye on that building is like on me right now.
Because they thought you were out, dude.
Thought I was out, and so they're like super confused, right?
Yes, yeah.
And yeah, super cool moment.
Yeah.
And so it's like weird because it's like I hear the gasp, but then it just goes silent. But like I can tell, like I look to my side, and like everybody's just staring at me.
Good.
So
yeah, you're like, I'm about to surprise everybody here.
right. So then they're doing like the seating meeting. Payson is trying to get me thrown out of the tournament because they think I'm here just to screw up the seating and make it beneficial for somebody. Like I don't even know what they thought we were doing, but they thought like my intention wasn't to compete. It was just like first show. Okay. And then little do you know, like I was out on the mat like 20 seconds later. So the goal for divisionals was to only qualify. Okay. I wasn't trying to like win divisionals. I was just trying to make it to state without getting hurt. And so you just needed to be top 8 and add and then now I would have had there's a 2-week gap between divisionals and state. So I was like, I just got to qualify and then get there, right? So I wrestle my first match, get a takedown, put him on an armbar, pin him. Like I'm like on a knee, right? I have to crutch onto the mat. I can't walk. So
this is wild, bro.
Second match, I'm in the quarterfinals now. Wrestle my second match, kind of similar, like take him down, get him in an armbar, pin him. Qualified, done. So now I'm done. I got that 2-week gap to train.
So you got just the quarterfinals one, and you're like, hey, let me just forfeit.
Yeah, so now I'm in the semis right now.
And then you're like,
top 6, you need top 8, I'm done. So like I don't care about my seeding for state because I'm either right. So I'm just done. Yeah. And so like obviously I'm there watching my team, but like I'm done. Yeah. Like I'm done competing.
Smart.
And so take that 2-week gap. I'm like kind of training, but like how much training can I actually do? You know what I mean? It was kind of a lot of it was like practicing how to like possibly score without getting hurt in the meantime. Yeah. So we get to state.
Did it hurt, by the way, as you're trained? Did someone like lay on your leg, or did something happen where you're...
It was pretty sensitive. Like if it was to get pulled at all, it was pretty sensitive. But the way that I did it was, so like you would expect me to put the one that I had hurt back, but I actually put it forward because then it was tucked right here. And so like it was pretty hard to grab. So we get to state, and everybody's still like no way he's going through with this. So first match goes out, get it on a leg, take the kid down, put him in an armbar, pin him. Boom. So if there's first match, I'm in the quarters. So now I'm wrestling this kid, another Payson kid. His name is Eduardo Cabrera. Like kind of like new, like tough kid, but just like he wins a lot of his matches just kind of based off of aggression. And I got my leg torqued so many times in that match.
And he probably was going for it too, right?
Oh, 100%.
That's frustrating.
He and here's the thing is like people were like, oh, that's dirty, but it's really not. Like I'm the one choosing to be out there injured. Like you grab my leg all you want. Like that's free game. You know what I mean? Like I'm not going to be spiteful of that because I'm not like I'm
for you, man.
You know what I mean? Like I can't be angry at that.
Eduardo, come on, beat me without pulling on my brother.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is like he's out there trying to kill me. Like regardless of if I'm hurt or not, he's trying to be a state champion. I'm trying to be a state champion. If he's going to hurt me, that's you know what I mean. Like I don't. Props to him for that. You know what I mean? So he gets he like to the point where like he's like in a front headlock and he like let go to leg pass me, to like torque my leg, and I was like, I don't know.
This guy.
Like I said, I didn't get too mad about it. Yeah. But so we're kind of like in a crazy match. I'm down like 2-0 because my leg is killing me.
Yeah.
He's like popping it. It popped mid-match, and like I like call injury time. My dad's like, we're pulling you, and I'm like, no, you're not. I'm finishing this match, and so I end up getting a takedown with like 10 seconds left.
Really?
So now we're in overtime. Nobody scores. Double overtime. I put him in a tilt. rolling through. I have him there for like 7-8 seconds. I don't get a single count. The kid's way past where he should be. So then he rides me out. I can't get off a bottom. I can't stand. Triple overtime comes.
It's back on your feet, right?
No, so it's ride or die, ultimate tiebreaker,
okay.
and he picks top. And so I'm like, shoot, I might be done. Like, I don't know what to do. So I just I post my leg, try to Granby, he follows, I rotate on my head, circle, and I Peterson him to his back and reverse him to his back, win the match.
Oh
Crazy, the whole building's going nuts.
Yes.
It was like the weird COVID year too, so state usually is at UVU, but they had to do it at Wasatch High School. So you have like a ton of people in this like small gymnasium, and people are just going livid.
Yes.
Like freaking out.
Did you have that? I gotta watch that, man.
It's on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Yeah, you can find it. It's you have to like go back and run like through the whole tournament because it's like live streamed or whatever. But you can watch that match if you find it. I could probably send it to you. So now we get to the semis. Pretty solid kid. I end up wrestling my match. I'm like down by like a point. Or I'm down by like 3 points. I like Peterson the kid again. That was like my move that day. I don't even do that move at all. Reverse him and should have gotten near fall, didn't. Get on top.
What's up with these refs, man?
I don't know, dude. It was weird. And so I put him in an armbar and a half, and I'm literally like about to pin him. He posts his hand and crawls me straight out of bounds from the center to the edge line. Yeah. And I can't post my leg, right? I have one leg, so I'm like trying to like drag him in, but there's nothing I can do. No flea call, nothing. That was like my chance. So I end up losing the match. I end up losing the match, whatever. End up going for third place, pin my kid for third, end up taking third, right? Obviously that wasn't the goal, but.
Did the guy that you lost to that crawled out, did he end up winning?
Pinned his guy in like the first round.
In the state?
In the state finals, yeah. And so like I trained with that kid after, and.
Does that bother, but it probably doesn't bother you too much.
I was there, like, literally 75%. Like my leg's gone, right?
And he crawled out on you.
You're right. And so I still took third at state. Like I did all I could do, right? Yeah. And I wasn't like happy that I took third. Like that wasn't my goal.
You wanted that,
right?
Yeah.
So next 2 years go by. I win 2 more state titles after that, and then.
So it sounds like that sophomore year, you really was a big moment in this, like for yourself and like mentality.
Right. Well, and it did a big that moment, regardless of the goal wasn't achieved, but that helped me with recruiting a lot because there were some schools that saw that and were like,
this kid's a beast.
Like he's like I was able to show grit. Like I don't know. Who else would have been willing to do what I was willing to do on that day? So
was Penn State looking at you at that point?
No.
When did that start happening?
Yeah, so recruiting first started to kind of open up. I was talking to a good handful of schools. In total, probably talked to like about 20 that were probably Division I. Okay. And so, I kind of just, I was talking to other schools. I took some other recruiting trips. I took one to Navy. I took one to Brown. I took one to Penn State, and then I was going to take one to North Dakota State, and then possibly one to Nebraska also. Okay. So Kyler Sanderson is my club coach. So obviously his brother Kale is and his older brother Cody. Those are the coaches at Penn State, right? Yeah. And I kind of just. Obviously, the connection was there, and, I got a call from Cody one day, and just, he's like, hey, I heard you're interested in going to Penn State. I'm like, of course I'm interested in going to Penn State, you know what I mean? Yeah, and so, the opportunity, that was kind of when the whole recruiting process came, and went on my visit there, and I was just like.
Was that top on your list always, or did you have something else?
So I was always an Iowa fan growing up because I was born in Iowa, but I've had this weird feeling since I was like 12 or 13. I wasn't a Penn State fan, but I had the weirdest feeling that I was going to end up there. Yeah. And I don't know how to explain it, but very, very strong feeling. Yeah. And then when the opportunity presented itself, it was kind of I got to take advantage of this.
Right.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So, I ended up going.
One of the greatest coaches out there.
Yeah, dude, all those guys are. And so I guess the thing that really sealed the deal too was I was kind of I've been interested in the military, right? So that's why I took a recruiting trip to Navy. But Penn State has an ROTC program, and so they have the ROTC 4-year scholarship or whatever. And so I was like, I'm going here. I'm gonna apply for it, right? And so I ended up applying. There's like 96,000 applicants. Only 2,800 get the scholarship.
And
then of the
nationwide.
Okay. And then of the 2,800, it's split into 3 groups between a 2-year, 3-year, and 4-year winner. So I ended up getting the 4-year scholarship. And so I was just like, that sealed the deal.
So
I was like,
scholarship that you got as you're going to Penn State?
Yeah, that's the one I'm going to primarily be on, right? And so
did Penn State hook it up too with like any academic
They can't even offer academic scholarship because they have so many students. So that's the other thing that's hard. And when you're in a room where you have 8 returning All-Americans, and then now you had 2 transfers that came in, 10 returning All-Americans, right? I mean, how much money can you really come by? You know what I mean? And so once that happened, that kind of just sealed the deal, and I was ready to.
So the ROTC thing is what enabled you to get that the pay for the school.
Well, really, it was like almost better than any scholarship I could have gotten. Like it pays for everything, right?
I mean, you probably honestly got it too from your story, right? You probably told them a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That helps you.
For sure, right? Well, and it's like it doesn't really matter how the school's getting paid for. If it's free, it's free. You know what I mean? So.
That's so cool. Okay.
Right.
So you got recruited, and you're heading there in 8 days.
8 days, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So.
Wow, dude, that was a lot. That was a lot of good stuff, man. So I think it's amazing that I was able to get you here, chat with you, because you're gonna be able to look back at this interview, and so will I when you're freaking champ. And
yeah, that's the goal.
That's the goal, dude.
Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna look back at this, and that's the cool thing about doing podcasts like this, because you can see your journey. I mean, you've kind of documented it for us so far, but I mean, you got a lot more to go. So kind of tell us right now, speak it into existence. What's the goal? What are you trying to do in college? What's after? So we can look back and be like, hey, that happened.
Yeah. So I mean, the main goal right now is be NCAA champion, and so whether that happens this upcoming year, whether it happens sometime in the future, like that's the goal, and I'm chasing it. I'm hungry for it, and I'm gonna go get it. And then after college. It kind of depends with what I want to do with career, but if the wrestling always pans out, I'm gonna shoot to be Olympic champion too. So.
Okay, going Olympics too.
Yeah. So.
Is the you said you're interested in the Navy, right, or the Army?
Yeah, right.
Is that, do you have to follow through the career with that because you're using that scholarship or not?
So that was the thing that was really cool is I can part of my service can be competing for the WCAP, and so that's like kind of the nice thing. It's the wrestling club that the Army has. And so it'll give me the opportunity to still train at Penn State and then have that compete as my service, and then I'd have like sponsorships by the military. So it kind of just all really made sense. And, plus like you have the opportunity to get government clearance and like, all the access that you have, you know what I'm saying? So
it's like it's all kind of panning out.
Yeah, for sure. It was the best possible route I could have taken, like of any of the, any of the paths I could have had. So pretty exciting.
It's freaking been a pleasure to learn about your journey. You have anything else you want to leave with the listeners, the viewers, or say something to your fans that are going to be watching this? Do you have anything you want to leave us with?
Yeah, I think, I think the biggest thing is, you're going to have trials and tribulations that come up all the time. I think the biggest thing as far, you're talking about being a winner. I think the biggest thing that you can do is set goals, right? And just don't let anybody get in the way of them. Set your goals, create a path on how you're going to achieve that goal, and just stay consistent with the process. There's ups and lows, and I've had tournaments where I've done well, tournaments where I haven't, but when you stay you stay the flow, right? And you're going to get what you want. So.
No, dude, I'll add to that. I think that's amazing, and that's the good thing about sports, right, or wrestling. It's like we all had to lose. We all lose, like at least in the beginning, right? So you know how to overcome trials and tribulations.
For sure.
And there's losses, even when you're amazing. Sometimes you get caught, right? So it keeps you humble, and you stay on the path. So, dude, I'm so excited for you. You're gonna go out there. You're gonna become a champion, Olympic champion. If that's what you want. You pretty much have the blueprint because you've done it on how to achieve what you want. You just go for it.
Go for it.
Stay consistent. So, dude, I'm excited to see your journey.
Appreciate it.
Coming, and Investors Thrive. We're out.